Hello, everyone, and welcome to part 3 of my 2024 music album recap series. Again, this will be a multi-part series, at least initially just going through all the albums I listened to in 2024. We're doing these videos in batches of 100. And then at the end of all these videos of just me recapping all the albums I listened to, I've made some spreadsheets and some charts to kind of chart out the different genres and the different like decades that were listened to and things like that. So again, this is part 3, so this is going to be the next 100 albums. There's links in the description to check out part 1 and part 2 of this series as well. And then below will be a list of all the albums featured in this video. The other 2 videos have those lists as well, corresponding with whatever albums were featured in that video. So with that being said, we have the next 100 albums ready to go. I'll just bring my spreadsheet up here, and then we will get to those. So the next album after the one we listened to at the end of the last one was, Room on Fire by The Strokes. Thought that was pretty good. Then I listened to Bleed Like Me by Garbage. That was their 2005 album before their their hiatus, and they came back in 2012. So that was their 4th studio album, I believe. After that, I listened to Are You Gonna Go My Way by Lenny Kravitz. That's a classic. Then I listened to No Need to Argue by the Cranberries. After that, there was These Octagonal Eyes by Mike Railey. After that was Fumbling Towards Ecstasy by Sarah McLachlan. That's a great one. And next up, a classic, I listened to Appetite for Destruction by Guns N' Roses. Just a very solid heavy rock album. After that, I listened to Nevermind the Bollocks. Nevermind the Bollocks. Here's the Sex Pistols by the Sex Pistols. Just a classic punk album there. Then was Elephant by the White Stripes. After that, I listened to Blossom Dearie, which is a self-titled album. Some kind of like vocal jazz. Very good. Kind of like classical, almost like crooner music, but not really crooner, but like just kind of classic, like vocal jazz, I guess. After that was A Kind of Magic by Queen. Really like that one, and the title track, A Kind of Magic, is one of my favorite Queen tracks. After that, I listened to The Predator by Ice Cube. Just a very good, somewhat early 90s hip-hop album. After that was the self-titled album by The Doors. Just some classic rock there. Next was Bleach by Nirvana, so Nirvana's debut album. After that was Rocksteady by No Doubt. It's a great album from them. After that, we move into some jazz with Sketches of Spain by Miles Davis. I really enjoyed that one. Next up was Pretty on the Inside by Hole. So Courtney Love, Do Your Thing. A great album there. After that was The Score by the Fugees. So I think like 1996 is when that came out. And I think I don't know if that was their debut, but it's a very good album. Ready or Not's on that. Kill Me Softly. Next up was West Textures by Robert Earl Keen, one of my favorite country musicians. West Textures is a classic from him as well. After that, I listened to ABBA, self-titled by ABBA, just some great kind of disco, almost pop music. I don't really know how you classify it. After that was Evacuate the Dancefloor by Cascada. Just a really good dance album. Next up was some David Bowie. We had Let's Dance. That's a great one from him. After that was the Tortured Poets Department by Taylor Swift. And this was the first listen through of that album when it was just the first half of that album. I counted the anthology because I didn't listen to the anthology right after it dropped. I waited a few days to listen to the anthology, which is a little bit later in this video. But yeah, Tortured Poets Department by Taylor Swift. After that was Axis, Bold as Love by Jimi Hendrix. It's a great one. Nirvana again with In Utero. Follow up to, I think, Nevermind. Really good album. I still think I like Nevermind more, but In Utero is really good. After that was Era Vulgaris by Queens of the StoneAge. But really became a big fan of them over the course of last year. I think like Songs for the Deaf is my favorite. And up to that point, up to last year, I hadn't listened to their entire discography. I think I had listened to maybe 3 of their albums. I think it was the ones I had listened to were obviously Songs for the Deaf. I think they're self-titled and maybe rated R or something like that. But really got into them over the last year. Listened to basically their entire discography. And Era Vulgaris is really good. Next up was Tasku Onuki. Onuki, hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. Sunshower, I believe that is some kind of J-pop music there. After that was Rumors by Fleetwood Mac. That's just a classic. I'm actually just going to increase the font size here to make it a little bit easier to read. After that was Donuts by Jay Dilla. Kind of a very prototypical, almost pre what's the lo-fi style music, like a lot of samples and a lot of the kind of things that are hallmarks in a lo-fi music going forward. But really like that one. That was a great album. After that was Such Pretty Forks in the Road by Alanis Morissette. Still think her most recent album, but really good. Came out in 2020, and then I ended up seeing that tour at the Hollywood Bowl, which was really cool because it was the it was some of those songs from that album, but also it was the Jagged Little Pill 25th anniversary tour. Next up was Return of the Golden Roads by the Baldwin Brothers. So the Baldwin Brothers, I first heard about them through, I think it was Amplitude, the PlayStation 2 game, because they had a song of theirs on that game called Urban Tumbleweed, and it was off their album Cooking with Lasers, which is really good. And then they put out Return of the Golden Roads, I think some years later. I picked that up digitally, I think maybe in 2023, and it's a really good kind of jazz is how I would categorize it as jazz, but it's a little bit more electronic, but it's got a lot of jazz elements in it. The Baldwin Brothers are really, really good. After that was the Anthology by Taylor Swift, so that was kind of the second half to the Tortured Poets Department, basically a second album, I would say, because the Tortured Poets Department is kind of more pop, and this the Anthology kind of falls more into the style of Folklore or Evermore. I definitely like the Anthology more than the Tortured Poets Department, but I also felt the Anthology got really repetitive. So it wasn't nearly as good as Folklore or Evermore, but I did like it more than the Tortured Poets Department. After that was Maria, or M-I-R, Maria Tanucci. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. Variety. That's the album, but I think that's kind of more in the J-pop style. After that, I had Don't Forget Me by Maggie Rogers. Following that up by Wish You Were Here by Pink Floyd. One of their best albums. I think Dark Side of the Moon is my favorite, and then Wish You Were Here is up there as well. After that, I had Channel Orange by Frank Ocean. Then some more Lana Del Rey with Lust for Life. I really like that one, and last year, like I said, I may have said this in the previous video, but last year was kind of the year where I became a really big fan of Lana Del Rey. I was kind of familiar with her music before last year, but last year I ended up going through her entire discography and listen to all of it. I actually have a few of her albums on vinyl now. I think I have NFR, Ocean Boulevard, and most recently I picked up Born to Die on vinyl as well. Need to pick up Lust for Life at some point if I can find it at a local record store. After that was Automatic for the People by R.E.M. That's a great one. Then I listened to Folklore by Taylor Swift. I think one of her better records. I'm kind of torn between my top three are Red, 1989, and Folklore. Folklore might be her best from a songwriting perspective. Red, I always kind of have a soft spot for Red because that was the first album of hers that I really listened to or really got into. And then 1989 is just a pop perfection, basically. But I really liked Folklore for the kind of more mature songwriting. It was more introspective. It was more folk style music. It was really good. That and Evermore are both excellent. After that, I listened to Red, Black, and Blue by Sate. It was really good. After that, I listened to Pont Neuf by Mike Railey. Then following that was the Challengers original score for the movie Challengers by Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. Just a great kind of soundtrack. It's it fits the movie perfectly. A great album there. After that, I listened to listened to Pretty by Oh He Dead. That was a good one. After that, I listened to Everything Is Alive by Slowdive. So kind of like a shoegaze band. Reason I listened to that, it was a friend of mine had tickets to see them last year. They had an extra ticket. and I kind of wanted to familiarize myself with their newest album, which was Everything Is Alive. So I listened to that. After that was Not Your Kind of People by Garbage. That was their album, their fifth album, and it was after a 7-year hiatus after releasing Bleed Like Me, which we talked about earlier. Really good album. It's got some great tracks on it, like Blood for Poppies, like Battle and Me, really good. After that, I listened to some blues with B.B. King and Completely Well. Then I think this is from 1992, but The Far Side with Bizarre Ride to the Far Side. Just really good, kind of like hip hop, but not like gangster rap or anything like that. Kind of like almost like an 80s style, like kind of like very like somewhat like Run DMC-esque, where the lyrical content isn't offensive or anything like that. Kind of like a Tribe Called Quest, that kind of hip hop. That was really good. After that was Purple by the Stone Temple Pilots. That has some great tracks on it, like Interstate Love Song. That's a good one. After that was the Mix Up by the Beastie Boys, which was their all instrumental kind of just beat album essentially. So it's kind of just like all, there's no lyrics. It's just all instrumental, which is really cool. After that was Funky Kingston by Toots and the Maytals. I think that one has Pressure Drop, because that one was the one that was featured in, I think it was 51st Dates of Adam Sandler. And Pressure Drops is a great 51st Dates is a great movie, and Pressure Drops is a really good song. After that was Mood Safari by Air. That's a really good one. After that, we're back into some more David Bowie with the Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars. That's just a David Bowie classic there. Some more ambient music. We have Apollo, Atmospheres and Soundtracks by Brian Eno, who kind of like was kind of my gateway into ambient music with the Ambient for Airports album. I've discussed that one on this channel in the past, but that's a really good album as well. Next up, we're back with some more Lana Del Rey with Honeymoon. That's a really good one. After that, I listened to Modal Soul by Nujabes, I think is how it's pronounced. And that is more kind of a lo-fi album, lo-fi music as well. There's some songs that have lyrics to them, but it's kind of the classic. When you think of lo-fi music, it's that kind of style. After that, I listened to Puppy God by Churchfire. That's a really good one. They're a local act. After that was Ultraviolet by Poets of the Fall. Some more Taylor Swift with Evermore. I think, like I said, I prefer Folklore. I think Folklore is the better album, but I think a lot of the consensus is Folklore is the better album, but Evermore has the songs on Evermore are better, but the songs flow better on Folklore, making it a better album. This one has like stuff like Champagne Problems is on this, and things like that. So that's a really good album from her. Both came out, I think, in 2020. Those were like her lockdown albums, basically. After that was Radical Optimism by Dua Lipa. That was, I think, her most recent. That was pretty good. After that, I listened to Hotter Than July by Stevie Wonder. It's a good one there. After that was Healing by In Love with a Ghost. After this, we have Siamese Dream by the Smashing Pumpkins. That's an absolute classic album from them. Probably one of their best, maybe their best overall. After that, more Lana Del Rey with Chemtrails Over the Country Club. I really like that one. Next up was some kind of electronic music by Kraftwerk, which was Trans Europe Express. I've listened to that, I think, a couple times and really like it. More David Bowie again with Hunky Dory. Then some Nile Rodgers with B-Movie Matinee. I don't think Nile Rodgers has done a lot of like overall albums on his own. I think he's mostly on other people's albums or produces a lot of stuff. But B-Movie Matinee was really good. After that, I listened to the Runaway self-titled album. It's just a classic with, like Joan Jett and like Lita Ford. So the Runaways self-titled was that one. That was really good. After that, I listened to Damaged by Black Flag. We have the Offspring. We have Ixnay on the Hombre, which I thought was pretty good. It's not nearly as good as Smash, but I think it was kind of like before. It was like Ixnay on the Hombre was still pretty good. After that was Evolution by Sheryl Crow. Thought it was just kind of all right. Like I think she's definitely put out better albums, but I think that's one of her. It still might be her newest, but that was like that. I think that was like a 2023, maybe it's a 2024 album. I don't remember the exact release date on that one. After that was another Lana Del Rey album with Paradise. I think it was like the Paradise slash Born to Die like combo, or however it's presented on Apple Music. Next up was The Sickness by Disturbed, probably their best album, but really good. Just metal. Like I said, recently saw them live with that tour for the 25th anniversary of The Sickness and really enjoyed it. After that was Winter Chill by Samwise and Johto. And I think that's kind of like a more kind of like lo-fi style music. After that was Crowned by Rhapsody. That was like a good hip-hop album. After that was Forever Your Girl by Paula Abdul. Really love that album. Actually have it on vinyl. Like picked it up, I want to say like 14 years ago or something. Maybe it was like 2013 maybe. Like 13, 14 years ago maybe. Really good album. Great. Has like Opposites Attract and like State of Attraction. I think it was Straight Up, I think is on there as well. That's just a classic. After that was Monster by R.E.M. After that we have Frontiers by Journey. It's got like Separate Ways on it. That's a classic. After that one was 4 by Foreigner. Then I listened to Kick by In Excess. More Lana Del Rey. As you can tell, I was kind of going through just listening to all of her albums. Next up from her was Blue Banisters. I really like that. More Miles Davis. So I listened to Kind of Blue by Miles Davis. After that was Bad Brains, self-titled album there. Then the Weezer self-titled album, the Blue album as it's known. That's really good. Got a lot of classics on that one. Then after that, I listened to Who Needs Guitars Anyway by Alice DJ, kind of like some dance, like techno almost kind of album. Next up was Music to Die Alone in Space 2, Andromeda. And that's by Spruik, I think that's how it's pronounced. And I backed that album on Kickstarter whenever it came out, and I think there was different versions of it. I forget how the Kickstarter was laid out, but I think it's basically like an ambient album. It's a little bit electronic, but I think the album was like I could be misremembering if it was like procedurally generated, but there was like the version I got after I backed it was the Andromeda version, but I think there's other versions of it as well that are slightly different than the other ones. After that was Lorde with Pure Heroin. Then I listened to Tyler the Creator with Flower Boy. More Pink Floyd. We have Animals. That's another one of their probably better albums there. Probably easily in my top 4 from them. Or top 5 possibly. After that was The Queen is Dead by the Smiths. Next after that was Hit Me Hard and Soft by Billie Eilish. Really like that record. I think it was... I really like songs like Birds of a Feather and Lunch. Those are really good. Next up was AM by the Arctic Monkeys. Then I Say by Erasure. One of my favorite Erasure albums. Like I said, one of my best friends in middle school and high school had that album and we played it like all the time. Really got me into that kind of like, that's kind of like where I started really getting into techno music, was with that album, or at least electronically created music. After that was Please Don't Cry by Rhapsody. Then Solitude by Ginseng. That's kind of another lo-fi album. Led Zeppelin 2 by Led Zeppelin. An absolute just classic rock album there. Next up was the Low End Theory by A Tribe Called Quest. Then there was Discovery by Daft Punk. That's a really good album from them. Another just kind of hard rock classic was Back in Black by AC/DC. Then was A Dream Is All We Know by the Lemon Twigs. And the next final album in this batch of 100 was Lemonade by Beyonce. Really liked it. I think I like Renaissance more, but Lemonade is just really good because she's basically just putting Jay-Z on blast the entire album for when he cheated on her or whatever it was. But that is going to do it for this particular chunk of albums. We'll be back again in a week with the next 100 albums. And again, there'll be links in the description to where you can check out the previous videos. Every video will have links to the previous episodes basically in there, along with all the albums I just listed off. But again, that's going to do it for now. So remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. We'll see you again next time. Thanks again for watching. Take care and have a good one. See ya.